Hey everybody, Hamster Sales here with another Diablo 3 skill calculator video. This time I'm doing the Barbarian once again. It is a Frenzy centric build this time. That is my main Fury generator, the skill Frenzy. A bit different than the last time. I plan to use two weapons with this build just because it's how I did it in Diablo 2 with the Frenzy Barb. Frenzy is a bit different this time around. It still gives you that nice damage bonus and a stacking speed increase the more you use it. But gone is the speed increase, so in order to keep within my build I have added some skills to complement Frenzy, since it no longer gives you that speed boost, and it's something I really miss from the original game, or something I'd really want to keep for this build. There's a lot of really cool rune choices for Frenzy. This time I've gone with kind of just a flat damage increase, kind of boring, but there are some actually really cool effects for Frenzy. The two coolest I think being Smite, the ability to call down lightning from above to stun your targets. That's actually would work pretty well within this build. It's another potential choice if I was playing around with it. There's also the sidearm ability, which has a 40% chance to throw a piercing axe at a nearby unit. So you know, you're just wailing away with Frenzy and you'll just be throwing axes at all your enemies. And they call it a piercing axe, so it's obviously going to go through enemies, so there's potential for pretty good AoE damage. This is a rune I really liked and almost chose for this build. You could easily switch it around, and depending on how available each rune might be, you know, you might be stuck with the choice due to availability. We don't really know how runes are going to work as far as their drop rate in this game and how easy they will be to obtain, but I'm sure with the auction house, all the methods for acquisition that we have in this game should be easy enough to get all these runes. Anyway, that's a bit of a digression. I chose for a relatively flat damage increase because in Diablo 2 I just wailed on enemies and moved on to the next one with a huge speed increase. We'll come to the speed increase later. Another big part of my build back in Diablo 2 was the ability to stun enemies. I actually used the war cry that stunned enemies back in that game. But Leap Attack has a very handy rune that allows us to stun enemies when we land. I went over Leap Attack in my previous Barbarian video a little bit. You can see all the rune choices there if you want to take a glance, but for this build I really found the ability to stun my enemies very valuable, even though it's a 70% chance, not a 100% chance. Kind of an odd choice by Blizzard in my opinion to not make that 100% chance given the other powerful effects there are for Leap Attack. But 70% chance is good, I will take it. We'll be stunning most of my enemies when I land. The next one I chose was Battle Rage. A big part of the Frenzy build I had back in the day was the ability to buff myself with all types of war cries. So I wanted to take one of the best ones available in Diablo 3, buff my crit chance and my overall damage. The rune I'm taking helps me generate additional Fury, which has some synergy with my passive skills. This build's going to be all about maxing out my Fury as quickly as I can, which should be pretty easy with two weapons and Frenzy, a really fast attack speed, and occasionally leap attacking. And this rune only helps with that because I will be critting more than normal. You'll of course get crit chance from your gear in this game, but Battle Rage itself has a built-in chance to crit, so that should be quite helpful. And in order to get that speed increase that I crave from Diablo 2's version of Frenzy, I get Sprint, which should be a more than ample substitute. I can cast this with all that excess Fury I'm going to have, keep Sprint up almost constantly, and I decided to rune it for even extra speed for a longer duration. There's a cool choice in here, like Run Like the Wind has some tornadoes you can throw out as you're sprinting around, which seems like a very cool choice, but I'm really going for maximum speed, maximum attack speed, maximum run speed, maximum killing speed with this build, so I decided to go with the relatively mundane, longer speed increase for, faster speed increase for a longer period of time. This build is, I think, at a lot of potential, has potential to be swarmed around. I'm really just running up to enemies and whacking them very quickly, so I could get swarmed by the enemies, especially in later difficulties. The large mobs of enemies that exist in this game. So I decided to get Ignore Pain as kind of a panic button. I'm going to be able to reduce all damage taken for quite a while. And I runed it like I did last time in my previous build. I think I chose the same rune in order to knock my enemies backward and do some area of effect damage and also reduce the cooldown. So I can do my panic button more often, and it's a bit more panicky. It'll send all my enemies flying and keep me safe, and I can use it more frequently, so it seemed quite useful to rune it that way. The final skill I chose, in keeping with the attacking faster and doing more damage, I got the Wrath of the Berserker. It does all those things. Additionally, also increases critical strike damage, which we do have some synergy with the Battle Rage talent I chose. and I ruined it for reducing the cooldown every time I generate 12 Fury, again with the Fury generation theme. So I should be able to keep Wrath of Berserker going for a very long time. It does have a 2-minute cooldown, but it also has a 15-second duration, which I can extend even further with all the Fury I'm going to be generating. Hopefully it counts the 1 second added duration if I am generating Fury on top of my maximum. Otherwise, this rune would not work so well, and I would choose one of the other excellent choices that you can see here. For my passive skills, I chose the fairly basic but all important Life Leech for my first one. The other two synergize quite well with my other skills and runes. This is what I've been talking about. The Berserker Rage passive skill gives me additional 20% damage when I'm maxed out on Fury, which is going to be helped significantly by the talent I chose from Battle Rage, Wrath of the Berserker. That all kind of synergizes. I'll be gaining more Fury, and all that Fury gain will help reduce the cooldown on my Wrath of the Berserker effectively, or add to the duration of my current Wrath of the Berserker buff, which seems very cool, very synergistic. And the last talent I chose again kind of synergizes with Battle Rage. All the crits I get increase my Fury, all my Fury gain increases my Wrath of the Berserker buff. So the 5% increased crit chance by Ruthless is great, and increased critical damage by 50%, also another synergy there. So this seemed like a very fun build to me. It's kind of an extension of a previous Diablo 2 build I used to use, where I had a lot of Frenzy going on and a lot of War Cries for passive bonuses. But the choices you get in Diablo 3 I think make that type of build all the much cooler. And yeah, thanks so much for listening. Tell me what you thought of my build. I really appreciate any feedback you can give me. Thumbs up, comments, constructive criticism, please. Whatever you can post, I really appreciate it. And thanks so much for listening.